Hello, ladies and gents, boys and girls, people of all ages, sexualities, and identities, and welcome back to another Doctor Who review. And today's Doctor Who review is none other than Earth Shock. So, what is Earth Shock about? Well, Earth Shock is a very tragic story where one of the companions, for the very first time in Doctor Who history, is killed off. But let's go back a bit. Let's find out how this happened. Well, it turns out that the Cybermen in the very far future have been digging down in the caves of a planet and have been plotting for a very long time a takeover of the human kind of brigade across the universe. They are hunting down human beings and converting them on a mass rate, and the Cybermen are not stopping. The Doctor and his friends accidentally get mixed up in the mix, and the Doctor finds himself trapped on some kind of space freighter, walking around without realizing that Cybermen are waiting inside of containers to take over the ship. Midway through the story, the cyber planner begins to reveal his plan that he will bombard the ship into Earth as a giant ram to try and essentially remind the human race of the power of the Cybermen. Excellent. However, these Cybermen are way, way, way worse than a lot of the originals. They are unfeeling and don't have much of human compassion anymore. They've become completely robotic, and that is what the Doctor fears the most for his companions, is that if they get captured by the Cybermen, they will be converted. However, the Doctor also remembers in this story the fact that they found down in the caves what seems to be the remnants of a ship that he has to disarm a bomb from. Inside this story as well, it seems that the Cybermen have been using robots to essentially hide away in the caves and use them as a kind of tracking device to attack human beings without having to do it themselves. However, eventually when we catch back up to the ship incident, the Doctor finds himself in a situation where they manage to overpower the Cybermen and try and get back to the TARDIS. However, sadly for them, Adric does a couple of calculations so that the ship will hit into Earth because it's all part of the flow of time, and instead ends up getting caught inside of the ship himself, left behind, and never to know whether he was right with his calculations. The Doctor, Nyssa and Tegan watch as the ship goes flying into Earth, and Adric dies. The Doctor does try to get back to Adric in time, but sadly is too late. Due to the flow of the ship crashing into the Earth so quickly, he couldn't materialize around Adric and save his life. So, Earthshock. What would I give this story overall? This story is a very heartbreaking story with a lot of tragic scenes, and most importantly the death of Adric. Although Adric could come across sometimes as a bit of a brat, he was a very intelligent character who had a very fondness for his family, what the Doctor had given him. He never felt quite at home on his own world in End Space. At the beginning of this story, the Doctor and him have a massive argument about getting home. Adric never makes it, and that's what makes this story even more tragic. And for that reason, I give Earthshock a solid 10 out of 10. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Till then, stay beautiful, you beautiful people.